Hi, this is Bob Papa, voice of the New York Football Giants, and this is the Big Blue UK and Ireland podcast.
Welcome back, Giants fans, to a new series, and please welcome my guest for this episode, one half of Thunder and Lightning. It's Dan Behan. How are you, buddy? You good?
Well, good. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. Let's get it started. You ready for the season?
Yeah, we're getting there. So it was good fun. So right, this is basically a new series we're doing. Fans, content creators, super fans, you name it, we've had them on. So 6 questions for you, quick fire round of predictions, and then that's it. So the first one's always fun to do with you guys from the other side of the pond, because our first question is normally how long have you followed the Giants for? But normally when I speak to you guys, it's from birth. So is that right?
Just about. I'll give you a different answer and save you the whole from birth thing. I think everybody becomes a fan of the Giants, like everybody mentions, from birth and everything like that. I think for me, it was right as I started playing actual football around middle school. So right around 1999, 2000 is really when I picked up the love for the Giants, of like becoming a diehard fan and like having to watch their every move. So I figured 1999, 2000, really 2000 for me, when they went to the Super Bowl, unfortunately lost the Ravens. That was the year that I became a crazy diehard fan of like, I have to watch every single game, mom and dad, and I don't care what we have to do that type of thing. I think of that's around then. So that would be 24 years for me being a crazy fan. But like everybody else says, it's pretty much from birth, because like how it is around here, it's groomed into you. I actually, my great uncle had Giant season tickets at Yankee Stadium in the 50s and 60s, and then he, unfortunately, when he passed away, he got rid of them. And then for my 30th birthday, I purchased season tickets myself. So it's in our blood. Is the short answer for that. Yeah, for sure.
And then obviously we had the pleasure of seeing you in person last year at the
Yeah.
Patriots game at the tailgate at Talkin Giants, which was great.
Yeah. No, yeah, those guys are great. So I actually met Justin during COVID, and they became great friends with me, and we basically joined they created, but I've met a lot of good friends through them. So I give them a lot of credit, and like it's like similar to your group, especially out in London and England and Ireland as well. It's just like it's really cool to see other groups of fans being able to share the common joy of another team. And I can easily say the group of people that I met through Talking Giants, are a lot of them are my best friends to this day. And it's actually really crazy. We do like a Talking Giants fans and friends fantasy league, and this year we had to do like 5 different time zones to manage the draft season. so unfortunately, our friend from Wales was unfortunately the one that had to sacrifice the time difference. But yeah, we had another friend that is out west. We have a guy in Central Time Zone, and then most of us are in the Eastern Time Zone, and then our other friend in your time zone. So it was really crazy to see. Like I'm like, this year I was like, oh, this was a little crazy. So next year, well, I'll have to plan a little bit better. But yeah, it's really the community of Talking Giants and everybody. It's awesome, as you know, you guys witnessed at the tailgate last year for sure.
Yeah. And then before we get into the Giants, let's quickly talk about Thunder and Lightning a little bit. How did that come together with Nikki?
So, with Nikki, me and her, we were on another platform 2 seasons ago. Me and her just hit it off. Last year, she got asked to do a all-female football podcast. Unfortunately, it didn't survive. So she wanted me to help her produce it and everything else like that. And I was like, I still want to talk Giants on the regular basis. I know you still want to do it as well. So we kind of had that more towards the back burner last football season, But this year, it's just really what we're focused on this year. So we're going to try to bring as much content as possible for that, especially with our busy schedules. But we're going to be recording a couple times a week, a couple shorts, and all that other fun stuff. So me and her are really working hard to get this thing up and going for this upcoming season. I'm excited for that.
Yeah, awesome stuff. That'd be great. I think both yourself and Nikki are underrated in our community. I really do mean that. And
I really appreciate it. Yeah,
it would be
thank you.
great to see some of that content come to the front. So let's talk Giants then.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's start off on a crap note. Last season, how do you sum that up?
Everything that went wrong is the best way to explain that. I saw your other the other podcast during it. I think, like everybody else, that Cowboy game was a complete turning point. That was our best tailgate, obviously, because it was the opening season. We had hope this year. It was beautiful skies, and then once we got into the stadium, it just started torrentially downpouring, and then that was the bad sign right away. So like, oh, here we go. Okay, no problem. They drive the ball down the field. Okay, then the field goal. Mr. Automatic, Graham Gano, obviously, he gets his field goal blocked, and then they take it to the house, and you see our all-pro tackle hurt and banged up, and there's just like, yep, this is not a way to start a season. And if you play video games, this was one of those games that you just wish you could like quit the game and just like reboot and play the game all over again. I just whatever went wrong last year went wrong, and somehow they still won 6 games. And you got to give credit to Brian Dable and the coaching staff for somehow keeping the team, let alone not quit on them, is I think is the most impressive thing. Because let's face it, the Giants, after Dan Jones got hurt the second time with the Raiders game, they could have easily packed it in, and we could have easily gotten that top 3 pick that everybody wanted, So you got to give the players and coaches really a lot of credit for that, for not quitting.
Yeah, and obviously I think it's quite understated in what actually happened last season and what Dable was able to get with Tommy DeVito, really.
Right. It's just like I made like a joke and a bet on Twitter after the Raiders game. If Tommy DeVito wins a game, I'll get a jersey. So sure enough, he did. I have that jersey in my closet. I haven't brought it out too much, but when I do, it's for fun purposes. But yeah, what they did in the second half of the season was really impressive, and that's why I hope if the season goes down south again, I hope they find a way to keep Brian Dable. That's my biggest concern going into the season.
So then obviously we went through off season, we made signings and then through free agency, and then we had the draft, and all of that was documented, and we had that great little Hard Knocks kind of first ever series. What were your takeaways from Hard Knocks?
I loved it. I thought it was really cool to see it was cool to see what they let us see in the inner workings of the whole off season between free agency and then all up to training camp. I thought it was really cool because just like a lot of everybody else, I really enjoy the inner workings of that. So us actually seeing the Giants' perspective on things was even cooler. Granted, I would have watched literally any team to do that, I'll be honest. But it being the Giants, it was really cool to see. It's just like they're trying so hard to get this off and running to be that team that always makes the playoffs and is a perennial playoff team. And it's just so much little things that are going into it, and that people forget that there's a process to it. I know it's going into year 3 and we have to win now type of thing. And I agree with that, but you can see how they're still trying to change the mantra and the attitude and the just basically building their style of organization within the Giants culture of things. And it was really cool to see the pushback on certain people Tim McDonald to be one of them, and Mr. Mara is the other, of certain things of high importance of what's going on with the Giant legacy and how they can mesh it all together as one. I like that. I know a lot of people, if you go on Twitter, a lot of people don't like Joe Shane after this. I still think we can get it going with these two guys in the front office and coaching. So I was really impressed and I enjoyed it. So hopefully the draft picks and free agencies that they did on the show turn into fruition and become stars for us and key contributors, because I thoroughly enjoyed it. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I thought it was great. Absolutely, it was. It was the inner workings of a team that are in sort of a rebuild-esque
Right.
aura is really interesting. I think if you were to go and do that with the Chiefs, who are like dynasty, it would probably be boring because
Right.
that there's no trepidation in there. It's all rosy. So I don't think it would have been as interesting. But I think focusing on the Giants, and obviously anything that's Giants, we're going to love anyway because it's just
Right.
within ourselves.
Right.
Yeah, I really liked it. I really did. I really, really did.
Yeah,
Difficult to
no.
get hold of over here, but we enjoyed it.
Okay, so you had to go through the back webs and find ways through it. Got it. All right,
Yeah.
so you found your way. That's cool.
Yeah, HBO Max were not open to having it outside the US apparently.
That's rough.
Yeah, but it is what it is. So
Yeah.
you kind of touched on it a little bit there about the draft and free agency. This might be an obvious question, and it
No,
seems to have gone down. But who makes the biggest impact for the Giants this year from the new additions?
from the new additions, not naming Malik Neighbors because everybody's gonna say Malik. I'm gonna go with the second layup. I'm gonna go with Brian Burns because I think with Brian Burns with that trade, they actually from the first episode they had the inner workings of the trade, and then the second or third one the trade went through. I just think him being able to help Kayvon Thibodeau on the other side and preferably Dexter Lawrence and not having him double teamed and triple teamed on certain plays just gets the front ready to go and being able to actually get to the quarterback. Where opposed, I mean, Hattie was a decent serviceable player against the run, but unfortunately he had no pass rush. So that means Kayvon was getting double and triple teamed, and there was no pressure as we all saw, and everything else like that. So I think with Brian Burns having the two guys at the ends, and then Dexter and then Nacho in the middle, I think that's going to help us out a lot. I'm obviously banking on double digit sacks, and if some way somehow both of them get there, that would be even better. But I'm hoping either one of the either Kayvon or Brian Burns would be the ones to get those double digit sacks that we hope for. I've liked Kayvon, what Kayvon's been saying in the offseason. They had a event at Madison Square Garden in June, and Kayvon was there, and he was one of the representatives from the current team, and he was talking shop with LT in the backstage. He's talking about, and he's like, "Oh, how many sacks did you get? Like 11 and a half." And LT goes, "Please, I could do that in my sleep." And then he just Kayvon goes, "See, this is why the Giants are so awesome. Like, you have guys that haven't played in like almost 30 years, and they're still talking as if they're like the greatest. Well, obviously LT is the greatest player ever for the Giants, but like they could still go out there and get like 20 half sacks and be nothing about it, and like just still talking smack to another player, current player is pretty cool. So I'm banking on both of them getting close to 10 sacks or even more. Hopefully one of them gets even more. But if both of them found a way to get around 20 sacks, man, that changes a lot in our defense.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So we've obviously had the preseason come and go now. We're recording this at literally the week leading up to the Vikings game. The Giants offensively was pretty underwhelming. Difficult, obviously, to analyze because you only get the first team for a half.
Right.
How much do you pay attention to preseason, and does the offense concern you at all?
Okay. So I'll answer this in two parts. I do like watching preseason, see the our depth and like going into the season. Like, all right, if someone goes down, we have X, Y, and Z to plug in each spot. I know some people aren't into that, but I personally like watching the games because I get to see the depth and everything else like that. I take the outcome with a grain of salt with the first team because, like you mentioned, Daniel Jones only played one half of the whole of the 3 games. The first part of the game, obviously, he didn't look good. He should have thrown 3 interceptions. He threw 2, even though one was a pick and one was a pick six. But he got it going towards the end of it. So I would like to see that hopefully translate to him getting used to things this upcoming Sunday or when they play the Vikings, whenever you drop it. But I take everything with a grain of salt, but there's a couple things that you were worried about in the off season, and it comes to life. That's when you start to worry, like the secondary and everything else like that. That's like, okay, we know that there isn't that much of a depth on that. So it's going to be like, okay, here we go. We knew this was going to happen, but this should still be found a way to get fixed, you know? And they did it with Adoree. So hopefully Adoree stays healthy.
Yeah, this is actually the first interview that we're kind of doing after the Adoree news, which is big because that was a massive area of concern, right?
Right. That was that was like offensive line and D backs or 1A, 1B, and you can interchange on whatever way you wanted to do it. But yeah.
So without giving a prediction, because we'll do that in a minute, what are the hopes and expectations for this season?
Well, the hopes for me is them building on the second half of last season and having that be with Daniel Jones and finally having him be protected with the new offense line, and hopefully we just need them to be average at best. You know, that's how bad they were last year. If they're any sort of average and healthy, we can have Daniel Jones be as good as he was 2 seasons ago. And I'm excited to see, like everybody else, I'm excited to see what neighbors brings to the table. And hopefully between Slayton, Hyatt, and Wandell being the wide receivers 2 to 3, I should say, between those 3 guys, whoever steps up next to neighbors, we could have that dynamic offense which we can game plan with Brian Daboll calling the plays. That part of it could be exciting to watch. Like I mentioned before, the pass rushers are there. Our front seven is going to be really good. Let's see what happens with year 2 with Deonte Banks, and now Adoree's back. And our secondary is very shallow and very unproven. So it's going to be interesting. Maybe a couple of these guys hit. I'm not expecting all of them to hit, but if 2 or 3 of them hit, we're in good business. So, it's like I'm cautiously optimistic, knowing how they've been the last couple of years. It's just, can we get Daniel Jones to the next level? If not, it's unfortunately most likely going to be his last season here. I'm not sure if you're a Daniel Jones guy or not, but I see, like, the thing with Daniel Jones. It's funny here. You can't say one thing or the other about Daniel Jones without the other group saying, like the people that hate Daniel Jones make it seem like I'm a big Daniel Jones supporter, when I'm really not. I just want the guy to be good and hopefully win games. That's all I take out of it. And then when I talk bad about Daniel Jones, the Daniel Jones defenders are like, "Oh, you hate Daniel Jones?" And I'm like, "No, I don't hate Daniel Jones. I don't hate or love Daniel Jones. I just need Daniel Jones to be good." And unfortunately, the track record's been more bad than good, but we'll take it for what it's worth.
I'm perennially known as a fence sitter with Daniel Jones in the terms of
so you're like me. All right.
Yeah. So like, if he's bad, I'm going to say he's bad. If he's good, I'm going to say he's good. And all I want from him is to be serviceable enough that the Giants do well.
Yes, you're a normal person, like, so everybody in the middle. Yes.
Yeah.
Got it. So you're like me.
Yeah, let's round this out then with the predictions. So, come the end of the season,
Hmm.
who will we say was the most valuable Giant on offense?
Well, he's getting $40 million, so it has to be Daniel Jones no matter what. Um, for good or bad, it's going to be Daniel Jones's team, and it's year 6 for him, so it's now or never. So I'm going to go with the easy Daniel Jones.
And then what about on the opposite side on defense?
On defense, um, it's going to be Brian Burns because, like I mentioned before, he opens up everything else for Dexter, who's an All-Pro tackle, like we all know. And Kayvon going into year 3, he could finally break out like we hoped for as an all around player. So I think Brian Burns has the keys to unlock the whole entire front of the defense. So Daniel Jones and Brian Burns for me.
And what about the surprise package? So the player we're not expecting,
Hmm.
not expecting, but that comes out of nowhere.
The player that comes out of nowhere. Um, let's see. This is going to be a good one. I'm trying to think of a good one. I think we have another good year out of Wandell. I
Mm.
think Wandell is still in the Giants roundup things. Everybody still likes Wandell, and like he hasn't matched his full potential yet. So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna say Wandell gets a lot of the praise this year because of Slayton and Hyatt, and then obviously Neighbors on the outside, and we could feast on Wandell in the inside and slot, and we can make different play calls for him, and people will forget about him. So I'll say Wandell.
Yeah, I like that. We did our prediction show last week, and I said most targets would be Wandale. I just feel like he's the kind of guy you just dump the ball off to, and you hope that he just picks up those 4 or 5 yards like he did last season.
Right, yeah. That's exactly what I was going with as well. Yeah, that's cool. I didn't even know you did that. Awesome. Yeah, so we're in the same wavelength. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm with you on that.
and then finally, it's the big one. What's the
The
prediction for the team record?
the prediction for team record. Right now it's if you're into gambling here in the States, a FanDuel or DraftKings, no free ads. They're predicting the Giants are going to be 6.5 wins, so that means 7. I've been saying 6 all along. There's just so much going on in the inner workings on the actual team. I don't have that wow, Daniel Jones is going to take us there without
Mm.
certain pieces. I know a lot of people on the positive side of things, like, well, he was hurt last year and we still found a way to win 6 games, which is true. But I don't have that confidence in this year's team so far. I hope to be proven wrong. I think they're just gonna miss it and get 6 wins this year.
Cool.
There's something missing. There isn't that.
Mhm.
I think we're still young in certain parts of the team where if they were veterans, we could make a little bit more noise. But unfortunately, I just don't have that push over for whatever this season for us to get over 6 wins.
Mm.
Hopefully I'm very, very wrong. But unfortunately, right now, 6 wins is probably going to be it.
And that's fair enough. There are question marks all over this team, not just from inside, from external sources as well. So until week 4, I think it's going to be very difficult to actually know how this season's
Right.
likely to pan out.
Right, and what I was gonna say, like you just mentioned, there's a ton of what ifs, and whenever you have to say, oh, if this happens or that happens, none of that ever works out. It maybe if 1 or 2 work out, then that's like a successful, like, oh, all right, wow, that guy panned out. Unfortunately, the other what ifs didn't pan out. So unfortunately, there's just too many what ifs for me this year to be like, all right, we're going to the playoffs. We're gonna win 9 to 10 games because there unfortunately there's just way too much what ifs. And if it hopefully Daniel Jones proves us wrong and proves
Yeah.
me wrong. So the ball's in his court, and I'm gonna support him no matter what. But unfortunately, I'm taking the lower route. Unfortunately,
And that's fair enough. So that's all the questions done. So thank you so much for joining me. Now,
thank
before
you.
you go,
Yep.
Just let the guys know where they can find you and where they can find Thunder and Lightning.
Sure. You can find me on Twitter or X at @dbehan_, and then every Monday night, and we're trying to get a second show. Me and Nick on Twitter. We do a podcast called Thunder and Lightning. Every Monday we'll like basically recap the Giant game, and then the Wednesday or Thursday show we will recap what's going to happen in the upcoming Giant game, and all around the league we'll have a pick 'em pool. Where we're gonna have a lot of fun as well. I'll let you guys know so you guys can join as well. It's free. So those will be our two places, and you can find us on social media at TNL_NYG, and that's both on Twitter and Instagram. We link all our videos from our main social, our personal main socials, and we bring it there as personal stuff. So yeah, me and her are having a lot of fun. Like you mentioned before, we're underrated, and we're hopefully one of these days we people start noticing us, and we'll get it going. So yeah, thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it, and hopefully this is many times to come, and you guys can more than welcome to come on our show whenever you guys please.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate that, Dan. So, all the viewers and listeners, if you have enjoyed this episode, please make sure to like, subscribe, and all that lovely stuff. Our social links are in the description below. So are Dan's and Nikki's. I'll put Thunder and Lightning down there. But until next time, let's go Giants.
Let's go Giants. Thanks again.